even like Insomnia, these kind of events where you meet like YouTube stuff, like when you're not queuing up to play like a game, people are like literally lying on the floor, just like Pokemoning their nuts off. Just like, cool.
Hold on a minute.
I feel it.
Sav, right? You're a very articulate man, and that really tops.
Thanks, bro.
I mean, the Pokemon in their nuts off is a phrase I've never heard before.
Mate, did you catch any of E3 that happened recently? Did you see any of the kind of the new hype, the new games and stuff? Because like every year I think everyone around the world gets so pumped about new games coming out, but like in this post-COVID world, like it doesn't really have a physical event anymore. It's a bit mad. Have you been before?
I've never been to E3. It's on my bucket list of places that I need to go and experiences that I need to experience. Growing up, like as a big Nintendo fan, it was my go-to for everything I ever wanted to know about video gaming. And like, for example, this year's E3, I was so excited to see what was going to come out in regards to the new Legend of Zelda game, Breath of the Wild 2. We got that oh man, like, did you play Breath of the Wild 1?
Yeah, I did. And I remember playing it. I went to like a ages ago. This when the Switch first kind of came out. There was like I got invited to this, really luckily, this kind of exclusive kind of like launch, kind of pre-launch event, where they had like kind of the starting titles for the Switch, and there was like 6 of them, things like ARMS and that, and I think Mario Odyssey was there as well, which is a banger of a game, by the way. And then Breath of the Wild was there. I remember the Breath of the Wild queue of the line was absolutely ridiculous to play this game. But it was the only game as well that Nintendo were like, oh, you can capture 20 minutes of the game and put it on your YouTube channels. We were like, what? That's awesome. Okay, we're doing it.
I just think it changed the game. Like, I just think Zelda, like, because the Zelda franchise has always been my favorite gaming franchise, like, ever. All I ever do is wait for the next Zelda to come out, and all the other games I play in between then are just filler. So when I saw this, no, go on, Adam.
No, Link to the Past for me on the SNES, man. That was the game for me that was just like, I think it still is probably my best game of all time, A Link to the Past. It was just like the top-down Zelda experience. Obviously, Zelda was always a classic anyway, like on the NES and stuff. But on the Super Nintendo, here we've got a game which wasn't just like a standard kind of like Zelda game. You had like the mirror world as well, and it was kind of like, it was just, there was so much going on, and I remember just being so entranced by the thing when I was growing up. It was so sick, man. I loved it.
It's funny that, because the first one I played was actually Ocarina of Time, so you were a bit ahead of the game there on me, Sav. But Ocarina of Time was epic. Majora's Mask epic. Everything that came from there. But then when it went open world, to me it's like almost like Grand Theft Auto meets Zelda, and you could just do and go wherever you want and do whatever you want. I'd spend like hours and hours just climbing, looking for like jewels or like enemies to fight or whatever. And it's the only game where I could sink that much time into it. But anyway, Breath of the Wild 2 is why I tuned into E3 this year, and I'm buzzing about it.
Yeah, so because I think the biggest thing for me now is like E3 as a whole, right? So again, like, it's one of these things where I've worked in the gaming space for a while now. Kind of, you get sometimes lucky to go and do some work in and around the thing, and everyone kind of gets together, and there's obviously like before the actual event, like the consumer event, like where you can go and actually play the game. So obviously like the kind of like the announcement stuff online, like everyone gets like hyped for like the Xbox games coming out, the showcase, the PlayStation showcase. And I remember going out the first time, and it was I could not believe the scale of it as well. Like, it was just like so many people from all over the world as well. It wasn't just like Americans who were, because obviously.
How many are we talking? Are you talking like barely room to move?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm looking at it from like a very skewed perspective, because there's me kind of like getting like in through the back to go to certain areas because I've got to do work and stuff. But at the same, like, imagine this. Imagine you're going to like any kind of expo, but they got like, for instance, they got like a new kind of game that's coming. Let's say Breath of the Wild 2, right? And they've got like a booth in the middle. It's all covered up. You know, it's the Breath of the Wild booth, and there's like a line, basically, like a line that weaves and weaves and weaves like a caterpillar, like around and round and round. And if it's a game that is crazy popular, like a Call of Duty, whatever it might be, then you have to have like timed entrances sometimes. Like, it's just like, it gets wild, man. And people sometimes go to E3, it's a 3 or 4 day event, and spend the entire day queuing for one game. Like, it's madness, bruv.
I think we all have those moments in life where you realize, okay, gaming really is huge. And I know it sounds silly, and I think maybe for me it was my first LAN event, where I was maybe doing a bit of hosting or whatever, and there's people queuing outside paying to take a seat to watch people play competitive video gaming. Like E3 for you, I imagine when you're around all of those people. I went to a gaming convention. I can't remember what it's called actually. There's a few different ones, isn't there? I went to one in London, and it was a similar sort of experience where. And what's great about it is you're surrounded by like-minded people, and there's no better feeling. Like for me, like as a wrestling fan, I remember the first time I went to WrestleMania, right? And I'm just surrounded by people who love wrestling. Yeah, I went to. Well, let me tell you something, Adam. I went to WrestleMania, brother. But yeah, I went to WrestleMania.
It's got a weird kind of like a weird goosebump kind of vibe there.
Oh, for sure.
My eyes, like I'm there. Iain's in the ring. He's calling me out.
Mate, that'd be a match for the ages. I don't think anyone would want to see it, but we'd enjoy it.
Us in trunks, not a good look. Not a good look.
Oiled up. What do you reckon? I think we might be onto something here.
The podcast. Hey, people are sparring in the YouTube world right now. The podcast will come together, have a massive wrestling match, ladder match, maybe sick.
Mate, I think we should tag team, if anything. But it was a similar vibe. But do you know when you're surrounded by like-minded people? Because like as a wrestling fan, you're at school, maybe one other wrestling fan in the class. As a massive video games fan, you might have a handful of other people at your school that are interested in what you're interested in. But when you go to a convention or a big event like this, it's so amazing, isn't it, to be surrounded by people just like you, who have the same interests as you. And it makes you realise that you're not alone. And it's a massive, humongous industry that we're part of here.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I think you're right, man. I mean, even going to like those kind of like the EGXs or like the as you mentioned, like even like Insomnia, these kind of events where you meet like YouTube stuff, like when you're not queuing up to play like a game, people are like literally lying on the floor, just like Pokemoning their nuts off. Just like, cool.
Hold on a minute.
I feel it.
Sav, right? You're a very articulate man, and that really tops.
Thanks, bro.
I mean, Pokemon in their nuts off is a phrase I've never heard before, and I'm going to use that going forward.
Get t-shirts? We get t-shirts?
Pokemon your nuts off. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Today.
Pokemon in my nuts off.
Mate. Do you know what? I think the big question here, man, about like kind of like the E3s and that kind of stuff. Like obviously that we've had for 2 years now because of COVID. We've been kind of like we've all been desperate to have that kind of human interaction and be in that kind of space. As you mentioned, like a lot of people as well, like are quite, not just gamers, but a lot of people are quite introvert. They're not necessarily outgoing, but still like these are opportunities to suddenly go, do you know what? I'm going to cosplay this weekend. This is a moment for me to kind of come out of my shell and be around like-minded people and do my thing. But I think from a business standpoint as well, I think a lot of like, particularly game publishers this year as well, like they must be thinking like E3 to have a booth. I cannot even imagine like how much it costs to have a space at E3. Mm-hmm. Like you think about like I went there a couple of years ago. They had like Jurassic Park Evolution was coming out, right? Where like I think it's the kind of like the kind of theme park style Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And they had created like a Velociraptor pen, like all the kind of like the gates were mangled, like it was fire. It was insane. Like it was just, and that was just for their booth to kind of like stand down. But it's kind of like a Chelsea flower show, but for like dinosaurs. It was mental, and it was like it was amazing to watch, and see. But a lot of publishers now, like, do you think they're thinking, we can just basically give our game code or kind of give review code? We can pump out these kind of sick trailers. We can kind of do kind of announcement events. I know Cyberpunk was a bit of a doozy last year. It was a massive doozy. It's for another time. But like, I remember they had these kind of like these nighttime kind of like Cyberpunk kind of like hour-long presentations and stuff. I mean, a lot of game companies can do that now, and kind of and Xbox did it recently, kind of their kind of showcase as well, everything online. Do you think like a lot of publishers are thinking, look, rather than kind of spending all this money on sending everyone out here and getting all this to happen, like, should we just give the game to influencers, get some numbers? Show the trailers.
Tav, you're making me feel a little bit sick here. You're making me feel a bit queasy. E3.
I didn't mean that, mate.
E3's the magic, isn't it? I know what you're saying, and I'm sure that publishers are thinking, oh, we could just throw it to an influencer. Yes, we could
we could save a few bucks.
Yeah, and arguably get phenomenal reach on social media and all that. But I just think whenever you can maintain any form of tradition in any industry, and gaming is E3 within gaming is a prime example of something that for many gaming fans worldwide has been magic for them for years, because it brings a different level of hype. Social media, you whack a video on social media saying, oh, here's the next Call of Duty or whatever. You know that the next day it's gone, isn't it? No one cares about it anymore. Where I feel like E3, it carries a little bit more of a punch. People talk about it for a little bit longer. And I think if we ever lost the magic of E3, it would be a travesty, Sav.
Yeah. Mate, do you know what? You're spot on there. I mean, I think about. I mean, I've got a lot of great memories as well. Like, because it's not just a case of. It's not just about the people that come there to play the games. Like the industry as well. Like hanging out with like people who work in the same space and like going to. I mean, it is a messy affair. I'm not going to lie. Like it's a bit of a drinkathon, mate. Like there's a lot. Like I remember the first. Oh man, the first one I went there. Everyone was like, "Mate, you coming to Saddle Ranch tonight?" I was like, "What the hell's a Saddle Ranch?" And on Sunset Boulevard, there's this kind of crazy cowboy bar. Which is kind of like a bit, it's a bit like a TGI Fridays, but like turned up a notch, And at night, you kind of hit like 11 o'clock, and there's a bucking bronco in the middle of the room. So you've got everyone that you work with, like all your peers around you. Like we're talking like you've got like proper like VPs of like Bethesda and freaking Square Enix or whatever, which is around at the bar, like kind of just having a drink, and there you are slamming Jaeger bombs, going woo! Like 5 a.m, just going around in circles before you had to go do like a presentation on their game the next day. It's absolutely it's special, mate.
Adam, when are you getting me an invite to this, bro? When you get me an invite,
bro? I came into this podcast and I was like, yo, we should talk about like E3. Like, do we need it anymore? And I'm sitting there thinking, what the fuck am I talking about? Like, of course we need it because I want to go on the bucking bronco.
Absolutely,
mate. I did bucking bronco and then hopped up onto the stage and did some Bon Jovi, Dead or Alive, and the music. I mean, this is just my personal sort of the music in the middle of the song kind of like just like stopped, and the entire room is looking at me. There's this dead air, and I'm like they're going music break. I just singing.
You know what? I've changed my mind. I think we should get rid of E3. I think we should get rid of E3. We don't need E3 anymore. Not if we have to go. Not if we have to go through that.
Shit. We don't want a part of shit. I think yeah, mate. I mean, I've had great experiences there. Like, I mean, I could talk your ear off about like stories. I remember like, have you ever seen the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
I have.
You seen that? Dude, John Hedo played Napoleon Dynamite. I remember we did like a thing, and I do some work for like Jinx TV, right? I do some like kind of like shows and stuff. And back then I was doing a lot, and there's me playing like I think like a Wii game or something or other. Like, this is like Wii Sports or one of the Wii U games, and literally Napoleon Dynamite walks behind me. He's like, "Cool, this is cool." I'm like,
"No way."
Dynamite. And that's the kind of stuff you can, because everyone like it almost feels like in the gaming world, like when you've got like people like who love games, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, whether you be a celebrity, whether you be like someone the girl or guy next door, like everyone comes together with games, mate.
You know what's a brilliant visual of that? If you imagine David Beckham sat in his mansion in Miami, he's sat with his son Romeo, and they're both playing FIFA, right? And you are on a council estate in Hull or whatever you're doing, sat playing FIFA with your brother or son. You're both having the exact same experience. It strips away all the other stuff that the world brings, and it puts everyone on a level playing field. You know what I mean?
Yeah, mate. Gaming our nuts off. That's what it's all about, mate.
Forever gaming our nuts off. And I think we can both agree that we want to be E3 and our nuts off for a long time to come, yeah?
Mate. And we'll have our own little WrestleMania at the next E3. That's the thing. We'll definitely we'll pitch that to someone. Someone's surely going to pick that up. If you're watching this, someone, please play that thing, because we can tag team we'll take anyone on.
Anyone,
like,
you name it.
Chambers.
Anyone in the gaming industry, anyone in this world who thinks they can step up to us bring it. Any day of the week, Monday to Sunday. We don't take days off, me and Sav. Let's have it.